Welcome to the Sharp Way Show. Yes, a little bit past 7:30 on the East Coast this evening, and it's Saturday. And usually I don't do shows on Saturday, but today I decided I was going to do a Saturday night special. Yes, tonight is a Saturday night special, and I hope you will be enjoying the Saturday night special because it's an AMA as always, because I know that people want to be able to ask me questions about such things and just chat about them, and I get that. So I'm happy to do that. But I wanted to bring up something that was bothering me, as I always start with something like this, and that is the two wars that are going on right now. Well, there's many of them, but two of the big ones that are affecting us in America. The war in Ukraine, which has been raging for now more than a year, 2 years now. It's about, I don't know exactly, it's in that area. And now the most recent one that's basically started about a month ago in Israel/Gaza. So immediately when that happens, people want to jump on the sides and say who's right, and almost always I do the same thing. Why are we doing this? This is terrible. No one should be fighting. I hate it. That's what I usually do. And usually people say I'm the bad guy because I don't pick a side, right? I rarely do. But let me tell you what I was thinking about for both of those wars. The way I look at them, I tried to find two analogies, and I think I found decent analogies for both. They're not perfect, but I think you'll get it when I explain them, and then how I think they'll end because of it. Imagine, if you will, I am in Queens, where I live, in Queens, New York, and there's a really bad cop in Queens, New York. He's a bad guy. He's a really bad cop. He's been in trouble before. Everybody knows he's a bad cop, right? But he's in my neighborhood. That bad cop is in my neighborhood. And that bad cop is in my neighborhood. And now I walk up and the cop sees me with my phone and says, you, Larry Sharp, and pulls out his pistol and pistol whips me in my nose, breaks my nose, smashes my face, blood, broken bones. I mean, I'm going to have permanent damage now from that. He grabs my phone, says, you were using this to take pictures of me, throws it on the ground, smashes it with his gun. It's completely trashed. I've lost my phone. I've lost all that, gone. And my nose is busted. I'm going to have permanent damage and scarring on my face. He throws me on the ground and says, I'm going to take you to jail. I'm going to take you to Rikers Island, the most violent the most violent jail in the entire country, where gang rape is possible. Like, that is possible to could happen in that jail. Should I fight back? It's a serious question. Should I fight back? Imagine there were people around me watching going, get him, Larry. Don't let that cop stop you. Get him. Here's a brick. Here's a knife. Stop that cop. Should I fight him? If I don't fight him, I'm going to jail, where bad things could happen to me. I'm going to be gone for at least over the weekend. It's Friday, so I'm not getting out till Monday. So I got 3 days to sit in the most violent jail in the country. And he's broken my nose for no reason, smashed my face, trashed my property, which I'll never get back, for no reason. He's completely wrong. Should I fight back? The answer is no. No. I should take the ass whooping I just got, lose my phone, go to jail for 3 days, hope that I can survive and nothing bad happens to me in those 3 days that I can't get over, and then deal with those issues when I get out of jail the next week. That's what I should do. Even though the cop is 100% wrong, and I shouldn't. What the hell was I doing? In this case, I shouldn't. Even the people around me going, go get him, Larry. Here, throw a knife at me. Here, stab him, whatever. If I fight back, I'm not going to beat the cop. And if I do beat the cop, his other cop's going to come get me. No matter what, I'm getting hurt worse. I'm getting beaten worse, if not killed. They might just shoot me dead. Now I'm surely going to go to prison for fighting a cop and resisting arrest, where if I didn't do that, I might have got out and never gone back. But now I'm surely screwed. I am worse off if I fight that cop. Even though the cop is wrong in every way, I am worse off if I fight the cop. But Larry, it's not fair. You broke your face, smashed your property. put you in jeopardy, your life jeopardy for 3 days in a violent jail. Yes. Yes, but I guess I'm screwed. There's no way around. That's what happened to me. That is how I always saw Ukraine and Russia. Always. And people think, well, that means you're pro-Russia. In this case, am I pro-bad cop? No. I'm just accepting reality. No one's going to beat up Russia and end them. It's not going to happen. Ukraine was unlucky. I was unlucky. I live in Queens. Ukraine's unlucky. It lives in Eastern Europe. It's the same way I looked at it. It's the same way. Regardless of, Russia clearly should not have invaded Ukraine. Obviously, yes, of course. But people will get mad at me and say, oh, you're pro-Putin, you're pro-Russia. No. I'm pro, don't make shit worse than it was going to be. That's what I'm pro. Don't make it worse than it's going to be. And you see it already. You see it in Ukraine already. At least, who knows actual numbers, but hundreds of thousands of dead Russians and Ukrainians. It may, when this is over, maybe 1 million when you count both sides. Who knows? But it's definitely hundreds of thousands dead on both sides and hundreds of thousands wounded on both sides. Think of that. How many people? And you know what the final outcome is going to be? Similar to what it is now. I call this, again, I have receipts. They're on Dylan Burns' show like a year and a half ago, and then again about a half a year ago. In the end, and I'm going to guess the end is about 6 months to a year away. That's my guess. 6 months to a year. Probably around a year, give or take, but less than a year, I bet. In 8, 9 months, I'd bet. It's over. It's over. The war's going to be over. And what's going to happen? Well, Russia is still going to have at least 3/4 of what they wanted, if not the whole thing. That's going to happen. Ukraine will be a puppet state, and Putin will declare victory. I can guarantee it. I'll say it now. I said before. That's going to happen. The only difference between them doing that a year and a half ago and a half a year from now will be hundreds of thousands of traumatized families, hundreds of thousands of dead young men, hundreds of thousands of broken young men. Only difference. Only difference. Ukraine was screwed. That was it. Ukraine was the puppet of America as it was going to be. It was used again. Now, let me go to the specifics on how this is going to happen for Ukraine, how this war is going to end. I warned people that America, and again, I got the receipts. People that listen to me, but I'm telling you, I have the receipts. And you who've been watching me know I've said it. America, the American elites who actually run the country do not care about Ukraine. Do individual Americans? Many of them do. There are many Americans who actually care about Ukraine tremendously. They care because they think it's right. And they're right. Russia should not have invaded. That's accurate, right? Ukraine is being attacked in this case. That's true, right? So I get why they would support Ukraine. Makes sense. Individual Americans do. And if they have family or friends there, makes total sense. I get that. Why wouldn't you? Makes total sense. Maybe if you're friends who are Russians, you may support the Russians or something. I get it, whichever. But America doesn't care about Ukraine. Never did. The American elites never cared about Ukraine. Still don't care about Ukraine. Don't. They want to beat up Russia. And if I could use Ukrainian lives to do so, good. If I could sell more weapons, good. If Ukrainians die, what are you going to do? Ukrainians. That's how the American elite always saw Ukraine. They spoke a good game like, oh, it's about democracy or it's about Zelensky or whatever. That was all garbage. Not true. The elites never cared. That was to make you feel better about it. Well, Americans don't feel so good about it anymore. And now all of a sudden, Israel comes. They're like, Zelensky, who? Who's that person? Now, here's the hardest part for the Ukrainians now. Without American and Western backing, Ukraine can't fight this war. Everyone knows that. That's not like a secret. Everyone knows that. They can't do it. They need our backing or they can't fight this war. So the second that we start going, well, maybe, could be, here's the second part. Who is going to back Zelensky? All the stuff he's done, all the death he's now responsible for, the victory that he promised. Watch for Mr. Z to all of a sudden be out of power soon. Watch that. Watch all of a sudden, he's no longer the president. He leaves, he has an accident, he steps down, he gets sick, something happens. He's not there anymore. Someone else steps in. And if I had to guess, I would guess a whole bunch of American spooks right now over there trying to figure out which one's the guy they want in charge. Which guy they want in charge. They'll find the guy that they want in charge. He'll be the next one. And there'll be some kind of peace settlement. And they'll blame Z. They'll blame Z. Oh, he screwed up. He lost. It was all his fault. It's all his fault. That kind of thing is what they're going to talk about. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's how this ends. And I'm saying it publicly now. Why? Because I'm going to be right. As I, not always, but I usually am. Right? It's absolutely. Yes. There is no doubt that you're going to see that happen in the coming years, coming months, I should say. So I'm going to deal with Israel too, but let me grab a couple of comments and questions, and then I'll tell you what I think about Israel also. So Joe says, but Larry, there is no war without elected officials adhering to their oath of office, declaring war. Yes, I will. Some of you know this. Some of you know this, Joe. You might. When was the last time the United States declared war? Anybody know? 1942. Declared war on most of Germany's allies. Not all. We declared war on Romania, Hungary, and Bulgaria. That happened in 1942. But interesting tidbit, we never declared war on Finland. And Finland was a German ally in that war. But we did not declare war on Finland. We declared war on the other three, not Finland. And that was 1942. So we haven't declared war since 1942. So now that's what, 80 years? We haven't declared war in 81 years. Yet we've been at perpetual war ever since. Yes, absolutely. So I just thought that was interesting. So, all righty, let me keep going if I can. All right. Dave says more than a year and a half of fighting for Ukraine. Yes, thank you. It's more than a year and a half. I wasn't sure. I knew it's almost 2 years, right? Is it February? I think makes 2 years. So it's coming up on that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. All right. Michael says, so how are things going in that bunker of yours? Michael, you know why I'm in here because I'm talking about war. So now I'm in the bunker now. So yes. Joel says they care about profit opportunities and kickbacks to the politicians. Yes, yes, and yes. 100% Joel, you are correct. And that's why if they can get it in Israel or Gaza or Mali or wherever, they're good. They don't care who's dying. They don't care as long as they can keep pumping that stuff out. Absolutely. Lila says, it's so blatantly open that Ukraine was being used totally by the president and by the West. Yes. And let me be clear about this, Lila. Being a Marine, I remember believing that we were always right. I remember that. And there was a good feeling about it, right? It's when life is black and white and there's no nuance, life is actually easier, right? The whole idea that ignorance is bliss. Yeah, well, we're always right. They're always wrong. Who is they? Whoever the president tells me is they. Done. Life is easy, right? I remember feeling that way. And I'm sure that there are many Ukrainian soldiers, many Russian soldiers who just think they're doing the right thing. Believe that. I'm sure there's many of them that do, right? We seem to always go to Godwin's law here, but I'll go to World War II. There was a difference. The Americans should have treated German soldiers differently. They treated the average German soldier, who was part of the Wehrmacht, which was the name of the German army. They took their surrenders. They took them into custody. They didn't treat them as that poorly at all. They treated them as soldiers. But the SS, there was a lot of problems with the SS because the SS were the fanatics. Those are the people who are, those are the Hitler guys, right? So those people, they wouldn't take prisoners. They would actually just shoot them, right? They would just shoot them because they thought, no, that's the bad guy. Regular German soldier, he's probably like me, gets drafted, doesn't know any better. The SS were all volunteers, right? But the Wehrmacht were being drafted. So they assumed they were doing the right thing for their country. That's what many soldiers believed. There's a piece of that actually in a relatively recent World War II movie. I think it was called Fury. If I'm right. Brad Pitt was in it. And they bring it up in that. I mean, it's a common thing that people who study World War II know, but that fact was brought up in that movie Fury, where they take prisoners. Oh, but he's SS, they shoot him. To the point where the officers in this movie have to give orders to the Americans, stop shooting all the SS officers. We need the prisoners. We need to get information from these officers. We have to interrogate them. You keep shooting them so we can interrogate them. Stop shooting all the SS. They had to give them orders for that. So, yes, I feel bad for these soldiers. I mean, they're losing arms and legs. They're getting murdered. They're getting killed. That's not murder. They're fighting each other. It's not murder. They're getting killed for a lost cause on both sides. It's not required at all. Meanwhile, the leaders laugh, right? Meanwhile, Putin and his boys laugh as they keep making money and making deals with the Chinese and making deals with Africans, making deals with Asians. They keep making deals and laughing. Meanwhile, the average Russian gets his leg blown off or gets killed or their family's destroyed. The average Ukrainian getting their family destroyed, their houses bombed and blown up, while the Ukrainian elites keep putting cash in their pocket. And we know that from that Time magazine article, right? The Russian and Ukrainian elites are making money on this, literally making money on this. Meanwhile, the average soldier is getting cooked to death in an old Bradley being blown up by a Russian artillery piece. And I mean that, being cooked to death. That's happening. So thank you for saying that. It's horrible. So yes. Anyway, let me keep going if I can. Andrew says, in conflicts such as these, I'd normally say whoever struck the first deserve the most blame. But as we educate people know, the story behind it is much more complicated. Always is. Always is. Yes, 100%. Jake says, Larry, have you seen the Dave Smith versus Austin Peterson? I did. Or the Clint. I didn't see Clint's. I saw Dave's and Austin. I did see that. I thought it was a good conversation. I think, both sides took what they thought was the right answer. Right? I thought they did. But I do think Dave was far stronger. For many reasons. One, Austin is much more of a generalist, if that makes any sense, where Dave has a very strong suit in foreign policy. And I mean, he's very strong. Those of you who know Dave Smith, that's like his baby. He's very strong on foreign policy. Austin's a generalist. So for him to go in there, he was outgunned already. He would have had to done a whole lot more research and homework to be able to fight Dave. That's you're basically walking into his field and then trying to win that battle. That's a tough one. I'm not sure I would have done it if I was Austin. Because again, Austin's a generalist. If you talk to Austin, Austin's a friend of mine. There's almost nothing that he can't say something on that makes any sense, right? He's very good at, if you said this or that, he could give you something on everything. That's why he's a good talk show host. That's why there's a morning show. He's an amazing journalist. But literally, this is Dave Smith's baby. I'm not sure you want to go toe-to-toe with Dave Smith on foreign policy. It's probably not going to go well for you. So if I ever did, I'd do a lot of homework before I went there. So I hope that answers your question. So yes. Justin says, Army is better, Larry. Okay, you need to get out. I'm kidding. I love you guys. Look, the only people I ever really tease is, I choose the Air Force a lot. I do tease the Air Force a lot. But Army's, look, to be forward, when it came to the last couple of wars for sure, the Army and Marines, we ate the same dirt. We did. We had the same dirt. We had different missions, but we ate the same dirt. So absolutely true. So, all righty. Jake goes on to say, what was your thoughts? I gave you my thoughts. Hope that was clear on my thoughts. So yeah. Justin says, we declared war on December 8th. Yes, we declared war on December 8th, and that was 1941, and that was against Japan. 1941. We never declared war on Germany. And people don't know this. I do that. I used to do this as a trivia question. I said, when did America declare war on Germany in World War II? People go, December 9th. No, we never did. Germany declared war on us. A good trivia question. So then in return, the next year in 42, we declared war against Germany's allies in Europe, which at that point were, we also declared war. We declared war Bulgaria, Russia, and Hungary. Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary. Again, we never declared war on Finland. So if you check your homework, you'll see that. We declared war on Japan December 8th because they attacked us. And then Germany declared war on us. And then we declared war on Germany's allies. So a little bit back and forth there. So that was good. All right. So I kind of want to go, if I could, to Israel now in Gaza. I tried to think of an analogy for that. And I couldn't find a good one like I did, I thought I did for Ukraine. I thought it was a pretty good analogy. It's tougher with Israel because, so I'm going to try this when you tell me if I got this one right. I'm okay if I'm off on this one, but I was trying to think of one. Imagine a classroom and I'm a drug dealer. That's what I am, a drug dealer in school. It's high school. And I'm a drug dealer in high school. And I say, Larry, you're a drug dealer in high school? Yes. I used to have a friend who was a high school teacher. And he told me that when it comes to attendance, he goes, the drug dealers have the best attendance. They're there every day. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, it's their business. They're here to make money. They're in school. They're in class every day. He's like, the kids who are drug dealers, I always in my class, they're always in school. The users, maybe not so much. Dealers, always there. And I was like, wow, okay. So I'm one of those drug dealers. But I don't care about school. But I got to pass my test. I got to pass my test so I can stay in school, so I keep dealing my drugs. Right? Drug dealer. So I got a smart kid in front of me, real smart kid in front of me. I cheat off him in school, in class. I cheat off him all the time. So I need this kid to stay right there so I can cheat off him all the time. People want to bug him. I go, stop. Leave him alone. People go, he's not your friend. What? He's my friend now. He's my good friend. Leave him alone. I'm the drug dealer. I got firearms. I got a gang. You don't mess with me. Right? So I'm protecting the kid in front of me who's not even my friend. He's a smart kid. Why am I protecting him? I need him. I need him because I cheat off him so I can stay in school and keep selling my drugs. Now, people I sell drugs to, they don't like him. He's a geek. He's a jerk. They don't like him. He's a geek kid. They don't like him. They're all doing drugs. So sometimes I try to mess with him. And I go, stop, walk away. And they go, but what do you care? I say, walk away. You want my drugs? Walk away. They'll mess with him now. Why? I need him. So now I keep even the people who don't like him away because they need my drugs. And they're scared of me because I got a gang. But that kid, do I care about that kid? Nah, not really. But I need him because I got to stay in school so I can keep selling my drugs. That's American Israel. Again, do individual Americans care about Israel? Of course. Many Americans care about Israel. Many Americans have friends and family. I do. I have friends in Tel Aviv. So many people care about Israel, as I do also. Many individual Americans care tremendously about Israel. That's absolutely true. Do the American elites? Yeah, but not because they care about Israeli people. Because that's where they sell their weapons. That's where they make their weapons. That's where they get their patents from. That's where they run their money through. That's where they keep their weapons stored. The elites in America use Israel. So they care about Israel, but not for the people. Do you think the elites in America care if Israelis die? Of course not. If they cared, they'd fix the border. If they cared, they'd stop this battle. If they cared, they'd do things. They don't care. That isn't their issue. They care about Israel, the state, because they need it. The elites care. Now, again, individuals, some individuals care about Ukraine. Individuals care about Israel. Again, I do too. I literally have friends in Tel Aviv. I know people have family members there. So, of course, they care about the area because individuals do. Do the elites? Of course not. They don't care if Israelis die. They don't care if Palestinians die. They don't care. I'm not trying to be cruel. It isn't that they want them to die. They don't want them to die either. It is apathy. They don't care. So if 3,000 Israelis die or no Israelis die, they go, okay, can I still keep doing my stuff? Yes, it's fine. Yeah. Well, do your stuff. 10,000 Israelis have to die. It's fine. Can I do my stuff? Yeah. That's all they care about. And that may seem cruel, but you can see it. Are you telling me there's no way to fix this issue? No one can figure it out. Why does no one want a solution? Why does no one find a solution? Because it works well just the way it is for the elites in this country, and I would argue around the world, but for sure this country, I'm talking about America. Works just fine. So if some Palestinians die, so some Israelis die, they don't care. That's not an issue for them. If it's peace for 10, 20 years, great. If there's war every other year, okay, it's fine. Can I keep selling my weapons there? Can I keep getting my patents there? Can I keep all my stuff there that I want to keep there? And can I use this country, as America has been using for literally decades now? Can I keep using this country to funnel stuff through? Good. Okay, whatever. Who dies, dies. It's fine. It's not my kids, right? Okay, fine. That's how bad it is. That's why here's what I will also promise you. Whatever happens, a year from now, the same thing will be true. Israel will still have broken, battered borders, I've said it before, that are not clear with the Palestinians, and the Palestinians will still be economically and politically screwed. That will be the case because status quo works for the elites. That's why there will be a status quo, not because status quo is inevitable, not because they care about it the way, because status quo works for the elites. So that's what will happen a year from now, no matter what we do. You can yell and scream. You can go out to the schools. You can go on the streets and argue. Not, they don't care because the political system is set up to where it doesn't matter what you say. Haven't you figured that one out? Do you understand that over 80% of all elections uncontested? They push people off the ballot all the time. I know, happened to me. They don't allow for third parties. And gerrymandering is still legal. The Supreme Court said gerrymandering is completely fine. So setting things up with political parties, which are not in the Constitution, our Supreme Court said totally fine. It's completely fine to give our political process to private political entities known as political parties. Yes. Yes. So do you think you going out there yelling means anything? Why do you think you don't see me at protests? They don't work. They don't mean anything. I don't mean to be mad at me. I guess to make you feel good. And please go do them if you want to. Nothing changes because the political system hasn't changed. That's why they don't care. That's why they're mad. They don't care. Now, there is an issue they're worried about, though. And that's the colleges now, being anti-Israel. They're all worried about that. That's a problem. They're bothered by that. Like, wait a minute. If they're all anti-Israel, wait a minute. Then we might not be able to keep our stuff over there. We got to work on that. So there's a little bit of fear on that one. A little bit. That's about it. They hope within a year from now, what'll probably happen is they'll do something that will feel good. Like they'll say, we're going to give $1 billion to heal Gaza or whatever. They'll do something like that, pretend like it matters. People go, oh, good, we won because that feels good. And they'll go right back to sleep. That is my worry. I know it sounds doom and gloom. I know it does. It sounds doom and gloom because it is. The only difference a year from now in both of these conflicts is a whole lot more dead people and what they really love, a whole lot more hatred. Hatred everywhere. Imagine what kind of hatred you're going to have between Ukrainians and Russians after this. The amount of hatred you're going to have between those two people. There was not that much hatred. I mean, there was hatred, but there was also connections, right? But there's going to be just hatred. You see the hatred that's already between Israelis and Palestinians? More hatred. And now here in America, between people who support Israel and people who don't. More hatred. Hatred is going to be doubled and tripled. That's true. More dead people and broken families and broken people. That's true. The borders, almost no difference. The political situation, no difference. Won't change. One more time. Because status quo is good for the elites. Therefore, we will keep status quo. That's how that will work. So anyway, I do want to cover that piece. Let me grab some more of these other comments if I could. Robert says, having run both in 2018 and 2022, who do you believe was a better GOP nominee, Molinaro or Zeldin? Or do you see them as the same? They're not the same. They're different. Better. Okay, let me see if I can explain. It's hard for me to explain which one is better. I know both of them. I've met both of them. I'm actually friends with Molinaro. I'm not friends with Zeldin. I think Molinaro, both of them knew they were going to lose. I think Molinaro actually had more of a problem lying. If that makes any sense. I think he actually was concerned about lying more than Zeldin was. But Molinaro, I believe, and I could be wrong, but my feeling was he wanted to do something bigger, and he thought this was a stepping stone to something bigger. Now, you might say that as bad. I don't know. But I think that's what, and he did. He became a congressman. So I think that was his plan. I think he executed it. I think it worked. I think that's what he was trying to achieve. I think it worked that way. Most Republicans who run in blue areas in New York know they're not going to win. So they do it so they can make a stepping stone, right? Malinakis here in New York ran for governor mayor back in 2021. She was going to lose. She knew she was, right? But she ran, not 2021, was it? No, sorry, 2017. 2017, she ran for mayor. She knew she was going to lose. No way. But she did it so she could raise her profile, raise money. She's from Staten Island, which does have red areas, so she can then become a congressman, and that worked for her too. So often they run so they can go to Congress. That's a common thing. Zeldin didn't have that. Zeldin was worse. Zeldin also knew he was lying, but he was worse because he was mean about it. He lied and then insulted people and then wouldn't admit what he was going to do. I told everybody what Zeldin was doing. While Molinaro ran and had a plan for the future, he basically took GOP money. He only raised like $3 or $4 million. He basically took GOP money so he could become a congressman. Well, that means the party is paying to get a congressman. That to me is fairer. Still, people could say it's unethical or corrupt, but that's fairer. Zeldin lied to all New Yorkers, raised $13 million, took money from New Yorkers all day long, knowing he was going to lose. And I told him, again, I told everybody this. The reason why Zeldin ran was because he was going to lose his seat in Long Island. He was afraid he was going to lose his seat because of redistricting. New York State's been losing so many people that we lost a congressional seat. He was a congressman in Long Island. And he thought, okay, I'm going to lose my seat. Now what do I do? I'm a crappy lawyer. I'm a bad person. What I'm going to do? I'll run for governor so I can buy myself a job. He did that. So he ran for governor. The guy who ran New York State, I don't know if he still runs it, but who ran New York State GOP is a guy named Nick Langworthy. Nick Langworthy, also a terrible, horrible scammer, grifter. He yelled, we're going to beat Cuomo. This back when Cuomo was still governor. That's what we're going to do. Give us money. We'll beat Cuomo. That's what he promised. Republicans, of course, they believed it. This is our year. They threw money at the New York GOP. They took all that money. Nick Langworthy then said, lots of money. Let's check redistricting. There it is. There's a place for me. He then took that money, stabbed Carl Palladino in the back in Western New York, ran for Congress. He's a congressman now. Set himself up. Took all that Republican money, lied to the Republicans across the state. He's a horrible human being. He's now a congressman out of Western New York. Now, I told everyone what Zeldin would do. Zeldin, I told everybody, again, if you were watching, I said within 3 to 6 months after the election, he'll be running a PAC. How do I know that? Because legally, when you raise all that money, you can just transfer it into a PAC, which is what he did. He didn't spend all that money. He raised a bunch, Republican hardworking money, took it from you, not from the party too, but mostly from you. At least Maldonado owns it from the party. It was all a plan. That was fine. Zeldin took it from you. So did Langworthy. Remember all those emails you got? That was them. Took all that money, lost by what I said. I said he'd lose by 5 to 7 points. He lost by 6. I knew because I travel the state. Nobody knows New York better than I do. There's not a politician out there who knows the state better than I do, period. So he loses by 6 points, takes whatever money's left over, puts in the PAC. He now becomes the executive director of the PAC and pays himself a salary. That's what he does now. So he bought himself a job off the back of Republican voters here in New York State. So better, I'm going to go with Molinaro. I hope I answered your question. So, yes, I hope I answered your question. I'm not a Zeldin fan, in case you hadn't figured that out. I'm not a fan. So, anyway, let me keep going here if I can. All righty. Grab some of these. Let's see here. James says the only good war that was ever fought was the Monday Night War between WCW and WWE. Nicely done, James. Nicely done. Love that. That's very good. Very good. It's good. Justin says, what do you think of the Israel expansion to Gaza? That's kind of a loaded question. I don't know. Okay, you guys give me tough questions. I will try to answer it. Let me see what I can do with this. Israel should be able to go get Hamas. That makes sense to me completely. I don't know how it'll work. And the worst part, though, is what Israel's in a tough spot, right? They're in a tough spot. Whether you support Israel or not, you have to admit they're in a very tough spot. They can't do nothing because the people will say, Hamas came over and killed 1,500 of us. You gonna do nothing? You gotta do something. Go do something. What's wrong with you? Go do something. So they have to do something. If they don't do enough, the people are mad. They do too much, the world's mad. So they got to find the exactly right amount to keep their people happy and the world happy. I don't know if they can walk that tightrope, Justin. I think they're either not going to do enough, people will be mad, too much, world's mad. I don't think they can win this. I think the PR war, Hamas has already won. They've already won it. They won the PR war, right? It's a done deal. The PR war is already won. I don't know how Israel can get around this. I'm not sure. I don't know if I would. I mean, I'm not running Israel, but I don't know what I would do. There's a part of me that says go all out war, north and south, accepting the world's gonna be mad at you, or the reverse, saying don't do anything and try to find a peaceful resolution, accepting the people gonna be mad at you. But I don't know. I think we'll see. So, where am I? Dave said somewhat complicated. The U.S. declared war on Japan. Yep. Germany, Italy declared war on U.S. U.S. declared war on them. Yeah. Andrea says, I really think the powers that be worry more about money laundering of the military-industrial complex scheme than diplomacy and peace. Well, yes, I think that's true, Andrea. And I think the point behind this is most people don't realize that a massive chunk of foreign aid is actually a jobs program for Americans, right? Not all, obviously, but a massive chunk, right? If you give, I don't know, $100 billion to Ukraine or whatever number, I don't know what we're giving now, whatever that number is, at least half of that is given back to us in weapons purchases, at least. Right? I don't know the exact numbers. I don't know if anyone knows, but it's a massive amount. And that's for most big chunks of cash we give out. A bunch of that comes back to us. So it's basically money. It's legalized money laundering. Does that make sense? Oh, but that's what it is. You're correct. They're far more worried about that. 100%. Yes. Let's see. Gene says, no, Larry, we have been at war this time. We've been involved in police actions, peacekeeping missions, and preemptive strikes. Your confusion on this subject is understandable since people keep dying for no good reason. You know what? I stand corrected, Gene. You're right. It has not been war officially. You're right. We've been in peacekeeping actions, police act. Yes. Accurate. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. Let's see here. Jerry says, whether you believe it or not, Molinaro and Zeldin are rhinos. I'm not sure. It depends how you, I mean, they're different. Their policies are different, right? I don't know, Jerry, if you know either of them. Well, Molinaro is much more purple when I say that. So if you mean rhino as in not heavily conservative, if that's how you mean that, I think you're right. Molinaro would be around in that regard. But for a New York Republican, he's kind of like many New York Republicans. That's how Stefanik used to be. Before Stefanik jumped on the Trump train, she was very purple. Elise Stefanik, for those who don't know, is a very, very powerful in the Republican Party right now. She is a congressperson from the North Country in New York State. Prior to her being on the Trump train, she was very purple. She was as purple as Molinaro. She was all like, pro-choice and the whole deal. She was on all that stuff. Molinaro is too. The difference between her and Molinaro is still not very pro-Trump at all. He is on the border Trump or no. Like he would have picked Trump over a Democrat, but he does not like Trump. He's much more of a purple politician. Leans left on many things, much more. Elise used to be. Now she's just gone hardcore Trump. She's like, whatever Trump says, that's who I am. So if you call that, then I would say yes. Zeldin just is authoritarian. He just yells conservative stuff. Zeldin's just conservative. He just yells, back to blue no matter what, more cops, more money, more state, bomb people, I guess. I don't know. Does he have any policies? He literally picked a cop for his Senate governor. He's just a hardcore conservative. Or at least, I'm sorry, he talks that way. I don't know if he actually is or not. He talks hardcore conservative. So I'm not really sure. I don't know if he has any actual. He hardly ever showed up in his district. He doesn't vote. He didn't vote half the time when he didn't even vote against the SAFE Act. So yeah, you're right. He's a rhino. Yep. Jerry, you win. They're both rhinos. Yes. Yeah. I had to walk through it. You walked me through it, but you are right. They're both rhinos. Correct. Okay. So yes. Dave says Republicans grift because that's what they know how to do. Yes, and the system rewards them. Yes, the system rewards them. Andrew asks, in regards to the 2024 presidential election, do you see the big three, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, remaining tilt blue, or do you see one with a chance to flip back to red? I definitely think that all three could flip red. I think this is really up in the air right now. I really do. The economy is teetering. If the economy trashes, they'll flip red. If the economy is doing well, I think they'll stay blue. I think the economy will decide it. Are people in those states feeling like, yeah, this Bidenomics thing is working? If they believe that, I think they stay blue. If they don't believe that, I think they stay red. And I think the economy right now is just there. And they're not sure. If there's a big uptick next year or a bunch of jobs get built or this CHIPS Act thing works, I don't think it's going to. But maybe I'm wrong and it does work. And all of a sudden they build a couple of chip factories out there and people start working. I think it'll stay blue. If it doesn't, I think it'll go red. My gut says this is really about the economy. That's what I feel. So yes. And then Michael goes on to say, yet our country's at the brink of financial collapse. The question's when? Does it happen in 2025 or in 2024? That's what I think. All right. Jericho says, I think a response by Israel is warranted, but an appropriate response. Not indiscriminately bombing. Seems like they could do a SEAL special force mission that will prevent civilian deaths. Yes and no, right? Again, Israel's in a tough spot here. It's a tough spot for them to be in. Why do I say this? let's say they do what you say, Jerry. They go, we're going to send, special forces in. You know how many casualties you're going to take in those special forces? You're going to send those troops into booby-trapped, defended, underground bunkers. You're going to have a whole lot of dead special forces. A lot. And one thing Israel is not good at, and a lot of people know who support Israel. Oh, they're great, they're great, they're great. Israel is not about casualties. They're just not. It's just a fact. I'm not trying to be mean. It's a fact. They're not. Israelis do not like taking casualties. That's not a thing they like. That's why they bomb all the time, because they don't want to take casualties. Now, you look at units across the, military units across the world. 2 units take a lot of casualties and keep fighting. French Foreign Legion, by the way, no French people in the French Foreign Legion, all foreigners, hence the French Foreign Legion, and U.S. Marines. Marines will take insane casualties and keep fighting. We'll take 30, 40, 50, 60. We'll take 70% casualties and keep fighting. So the French Foreign Legion. Most units take 20, 30, 40%. They break and run. They're done. Israeli units do not like taking casualties. So they go into these places and get bombed and stuff. They will leave. French Foreign Legion units, SEAL teams, which are trained by Marines, they'll go in. They'll go in with a unit of 13 men, lose 8, keep fighting. Most units will not do that. They'll lose 4 or 5, bail. So my worry, that's their worry. Like, they know. It's not like they think I'm the only guy who says that. They know who they are also. You're going to send those people into there? They don't have SEAL teams like we have, Jared. They have Mossad and such, right? And that's one thing they do really well, right? If it was like spy missions and specific assassinations, the Mossad's amazing at that. I would argue maybe better than us, right? And that kind of thing. Like, we want certain leaders, and we'll take those guys. Mossad is, top of the world. They're awesome at that, right? That they're good at. But you're asking to go into these places and take these people out of bunkers, not make sure some guy ends up dead next week, right? And there's a difference. Now, if you want to go for that, that they're good at. Israelis could do that. Know who all the leaders are, and they all of a sudden disappear in the next 2 months. Yes, they could do it. And I would argue probably better than us. In fact, if we had to do that, we'd probably ask them to help. Like, that's how good they are. That would be my gut. That's what I would think. So I don't know. Maybe, but it's not easy. So yes. Jerk goes on to say, that's fair, but they are probably killing their own citizens who are hostages right now. Hard to know what the right answer is. Yes, they're in a bad spot. I agree. Blue Moon, you are here. Oh my God, thank you so much for coming on and watching. I appreciate it. Larry, I really feel like people don't understand the Middle East. Israel supported Hamas because they wanted the opposition to not be secular. They gave the money. This is true, right? And this is the point that a lot of people don't, but thank you for bringing this up. A lot of people don't know this. Not only were we, as America, funding both sides, so was Israel, right? Both, right? And this is my point. Status quo is perfectly fine for the elites in Israel, the elites in Iran, the elites in America, the elites everywhere. Status quo is fine. They're doing fine, right? The tip-top leaders of Hamas, tip-top Jewish leaders, tip-top American leaders, they're all still millionaires, billionaires. They're doing just fine. All the poor people getting murdered, whatever, they don't care. Again, to be forward, they don't want them to die. They just don't care if they do. So if none of them die, fine. Can I still have my cool car? Can I still have all my good stuff? Yeah, great. They all die? Can I still have my cool stuff? Fine, they don't care. So this is a valid point. The status quo keeps everybody up top happy. That's why they do it. She is correct, right? And this was early my point, but I think she said it better than that. I didn't actually mention that the cash went back and forth, and I should have actually mentioned that. I was saying how the elites are doing well, but you're right. There's literally cash going back and forth. I do appreciate that. Oh, thank you for the sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Absolutely. So yes. So, and someone likes your logo. The Blue Moon logo is awesome. There we go. I appreciate that. Yes. So I do think that is a big issue when it comes to this. Cash goes to both sides. Value goes to both sides. And that's why the status quo of constantly fighting works. And the second piece here is something else to be worried about, though, right? For so many of these smaller nations, they're holding on to their nations because of cash, right? That's what allows them to hold. As I mentioned, Ukraine's being held on because of cash, right? That's why that Ukraine can stay there, because of the cash we're giving them, the cash in many places in the Middle East. If that cash goes away, the leadership will struggle to stay in power. The last thing they want to lose is their power. So if they don't have an outside enemy, right? If I can't blame the outside, if I can't blame Hamas or blame Israel or blame Iran or blame Russia or blame Ukraine, right? If I can't blame somebody outside of my own nation, my people might turn on me. And we've seen some coups recently. We've seen it happen. I don't want my people in the streets. I don't want to have to bring tanks in the streets, right? Only Erdogan wanted that stuff. Erdogan took care of his people already, right? He did his thing already. He's good now. He's settled. But the rest of these countries, we don't know yet. They don't want people in the streets. So they got to make sure that when people go on the streets, they can go, oh, no, it's not me. It's those evil Israelis, or it's those evil, Palestinians, or it's those evil Ukrainians, those evil Russians. They got to point the finger at somebody else. Meanwhile, to her point, I'm giving money, right? Here's some money. Go do bad stuff so I can put my finger at you later. And the funny part is, the part I was bringing up earlier about how I feel. And I mean this because I was a Marine. I mean, in my heart, I still am, always. But I was one of the guys who would have done it, right? When I was 19 years old, 18 years old, if Ronald Reagan had told me to go overseas and kill people, I would have done it. And I would have thought I was righteous in doing it. I would have ordered men to their death. I would have killed people. I would have done it. Luckily, I feel so fortunate that I was never forced to do that, right? I wasn't doing the first Gulf War. And the first Gulf War was so fast that my unit never got sent. So if the war had lasted like Afghanistan, I'd have been in the second wave. But there was no need for a second wave because the war was over in 5 minutes. So that I never went. And I'm glad I never did. A lot of my friends did, and they still have issues from it. I'm glad I didn't. But I would have. I mean, I know who I was then. I would have done it. And so I feel like those young men who are being sacrificed. And to your point earlier, Jericho, does Israel want to come back with a massive casualty list? No. Now, as the Hamas fighters aren't elite units, obviously. They're very much ragtag units. But because many of them are fanatical, not all, but many of them are fanatical, they will fight with insane casualties. So if that, cell has 4 or 5 people in it, they'll take 3, 4, 5 casualties, and the last guy will keep fighting. With Israelis will back off. The Israelis will retreat. That guy will keep fighting. He's fanatical. Doesn't care. He fights to the death. He already knows he's dead. He figures to take as many of you guys out as I possibly can. I'm out. I'm already done. When you're fighting against that type of enemy, and Marines have fought against those types of enemy from as early as World War II and the Japanese until Afghanistan and Iraq, Marines fight those types of enemies. That's why you put Marines against them. That's why in all those city battles, who went in there? Who was front line? Marines. Because they know that the enemy will take heavy casualties and keep fighting. So you need to have Marines who will go in there, take heavy casualties, and keep fighting, right? That's what you need. That's why you send Marines to the front. And the Army comes in later and kind of mops up. But you Army guys do well. Teasing you. But yes, but that point is still important. I just want you guys to understand. That's why I don't think they're doing it, Jericho. I get why they wouldn't do it. Most people, and this is not an attack on Israelis, to be forward with you. It's not. It's just most units just won't do it. They just won't, right? And it's one of the reasons why the Israelis pulled out of Lebanon, because the people who are fighting Lebanese, the Hezbollah, was fighting through casualties. They were just staying there. They were holding their ground. Even though the Israelis outgunned them, even though the Israelis out-everything them. They stayed and fought. Israel's like, I'm not taking these casualties. I'm not doing it. And they backed off and said, okay, we're out. They declared victory and walked away. If you remember, that's what happened. It was 80, 82, 83? I forgot. In that area, it was 80s when they fought in Lebanon. I forgot what year. I think 82. Any case, they fought that war and they were like, we've declared victory and we're leaving. And they were like, that wasn't a victory. That was not a victory. So any case, I hope I covered those issues. The long and short of this, which will make people angry, is that a year from now, we will still be angry at each other for the stances that we took today. The anger will stay, and it shouldn't. We're falling for it, and we shouldn't. What we should be having is more conversations. Conversations just like Blue Moon Red Wine brought up. Right? And I bet other people didn't know that, right? And I knew it, and I assumed people knew it. So I'm glad she brought it up because I just assumed it, and now I'm thinking about it. People probably don't know that, so I probably should have said it. So I'm glad she brought it up. I could say it. Most people don't know that. They think, oh, we only support one side, and they're the good side, and the other side is the bad side. So if you ask a person on the street, they'd probably say that, right? They would assume that to be true. It's not. We support the status quo. If people die, they die. They don't die, they don't die. It does not matter for the status quo. Guys, if you like what we're talking about here, do me a favor, click that like button. I should have asked you earlier and I didn't. So if you're watching now, please click it. It does matter. Every single time you click it, it matters. Click it now. Just click that like button. If you hate me, I don't care. Click it just to anger. Click it hard. Don't teach me. Right? If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this. Every retweet matters. If you want to support the show, you can super chat me on Larry Sharpe YouTube. That's awesome if you can do that. If you want to support the show itself directly, you can. Patreon.com/Sharpeway. $10 a month goes a long way. I can do more of this and less work, so I can do more of this. This is important for us. And of course, you can support my attempt to get on the ballot to break this system, which is what I keep talking about. To fix the system, you can do that at LarrySharpe.com/ballot-access. All of these things are at the link on both Facebook and on YouTube. The more you can support, the better. Yes. Blue Moon goes on to say, Larry, I'm literally one of the few that have gone to the Arab world peacefully, Egypt and Kuwait. There was 5 times as a civilian, not military. I was never discriminated nor forced to convert. You know, this is an important piece that you bring up. Most people cannot see a difference between the average person on the street and governments. And sadly, most governments are not connected to their people at all. Ours isn't either, right? We don't have much. We have very little control over who our government and our people are. Very little control. So most of them, they aren't. I've met many Iranians. I haven't gone to Iran, but I've met many Iranians. And most Iranians, individual people, actually love Americans and love America. They hate our government. And that's true. I think most people are just people. They just don't care about this. They just want to live as themselves. They just want to live their life, right? That's it. I think that's really an important part that people don't always get. They assume that every Iranian or every Egyptian or every Kuwaiti is exactly the same as their leader, right? And they aren't. We aren't the same as our leader, right? I'm not Joe Biden. I don't do anything Joe Biden thinks. So yes, Jericho goes, we hate our government too. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Most people just want to live in peace. The average person wouldn't care if we didn't tell them. Think about this for a second. If American media didn't tell you to hate certain people, would you hate them? Most wouldn't. Most wouldn't. You'd be like, oh, those are people, whatever. I saw them on like TV or something or whatever. That's it. Yes, 100%. So yeah. Joe says, I went to Iraq and Jordan as a civilian. People there are cool. Food's amazing. I bet. Yes, I bet. What's funny, being in New York City, and Blue Moon also is in New York City, there are many people from the Arab world who come here, right? Particularly Egyptians. A lot of Egyptians who come here too, but many parts of the Arab world come here. But and I've spoken to many of them, not recently, but I think in the last probably 15 years, there were many Egyptians who used to be running food trucks and oh Jesus, not before there was really Uber was big, the limousine services. It was very common. I'd see many Egyptian people. I talked to them all the time, and they were just cool, liked America, go back to Egypt, happy. They weren't mad. I thought, oh, the Muslim Brotherhood's gonna kill. None of that. That wasn't part of their life. They didn't care. Yeah, whatever. Oh, good. Happy to be here. Happy to go back home. Totally fine. Living their life. That was it. Absolutely. So yeah. So Jerry says, just like some of the others, I spent a few ports of call in Turkey. No issue with locals. They loved us. Yeah. I think the average Turk doesn't go, oh, America. They don't care. Erdogan may not like us for any given reason because we get mad at him when he's, not doing what we want him to do. When he's being the wrong kind of dictator. Like, we like dictators, but we like our kind of dictator. When Erdogan's not doing our type of dictating, then we get mad at him. Turkish people don't care. They want to live their life. Same thing. Sam says most people want the same things: family, home, life, fun, and most governments want the same thing too: power and control. Sam, killing it. Yes, my brother, exactly correct. Too bad these are in opposition and why government should be constrained. Yes, yes, and yes. Absolutely true. Love that. Very good. I don't know. That is awesome, guys. I want to say, look, guys, please click the like button. I said it before. Please do it. It does matter. Share if you want to share. I appreciate it. I hope this was an interesting evening. I just want to give you a quick AMA because I thought about this and people are talking about it. And I'm going to give you some predictions. My predictions are now out into the ether. We'll see if I'm correct. I usually am. I will see you all very soon.